Hey, how are you? This is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus AEW Dark. This show was from December 1st, 2020. It is episode 64. It ran 2 hours and 16 minutes approximately and was 17 matches long. Word on the curb is that Tony Khan is looking to possibly split AEW Dark into two different shows and that kind of thing. If you haven't looked at the highlights or the interview itself with Tony Khan, I suggest you check it out. A bunch of interesting things in there. And the vision for AEW Dark is one of those things I was particularly interested in because this doesn't seem sustainable, right? A 2 hour, 16-minute show. Granted, it's YouTube. You can start and stop whenever you want and that kind of thing. But when the show gets to be this long, it seems to be working against itself. I will say that this was a very good episode of AEW Dark, though there were a couple of performances in there that were not really up to snuff. I'm going to talk about one. I usually pick a performer or two to be my enhancement talent of the week, meaning people who lose but do a great job in losing. And I always like to highlight those people. A lot of those people, in fact, just about everybody who I've highlighted as a performer of the week more than once has ended up getting signed. So I think that's a really cool thing and sort of an indication that maybe I know what I'm doing here. Another thing that I really like to do is to give each match its own sort of rating system. I've come up with a 3-check system. So those 3 checks for the enhancement / jobber or squash match, if you want to be an asshole, goes like this. 1 check for the correct person being put over in a way that is memorable, aka do they get to hit a finisher that we are establishing, for example. A 2nd check if that person who is being enhanced, the person in victory, is made to look good and to look like somebody who could possibly be on Dynamite if they're not already, and be somebody that you would see as at least a mid-card talent. And then a 3rd check if the person who is being beaten does a great job in defeat, either by being made to look good by the person that they are working with, or just finding a way to really highlight that person that they are losing to and making them look the very best that they can. In other words, doing a great job. So that's 3-check system for matches that are competitive. And I would only say 1 match sort of qualified, which was the main event of this one, which was number 5 and number 10 of Dark Order versus the Jurassic Express versus Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. In the case of a competitive match, it's still a 3-check system. 1 check, does the match come across well? 2nd check, does everybody look good and feel elevated, even the ones that lose? And a 3rd check on whether an angle or something of significance is advanced. I don't see the point of doing competitive matches on Dark if something doesn't feel advanced, as far as an angle or a character or something like that. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to go pretty rapid fire here. It is 17 matches. First match, KTB against Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears continues to look good. His little hubbub with Scorpio Sky after, I thought was a nice touch. This idea that Shawn Spears is not going to give Scorpio Sky a rematch. The Scorpio Sky choice to hit KTB with his finisher, the TKO, instead of attacking Shawn Spears, while interesting, it really did sort of, you could tell it caught everybody flat-footed. Obviously, they're going for something here, but I'm not quite sure what it is. But I'll give this 3 check marks. I thought KTB did a good job with working with Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears is good in the ring and has gotten very proficient at working with whomever. So this match definitely worked. Match number 2, Damian Fenrir. My forgiveness if I'm pronouncing that wrong, against Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is one of the best. Well, at first, I thought he was not very good at working with the jobbers. Just ate them alive for fear of looking weak. But now he's sort of settled into this great thing of he looks really dominant. He really puts his character across. does a great job, gives the guys just enough. I don't think Damian Fenrir was really up for the moments where he got to shine, not for lack of Ricky Starks trying or giving him the opportunity. So I would give this one 2 check marks. Ricky Starks definitely looks strong, but Damian at points appeared to flub a couple of spots and that kind of thing. Totally understandable. These things happen, but I can't give it more than 2 check marks. Third match, Brandon Cutler against Danny Limelight. The Brandon Cutler win streak continues, and this is one of his best efforts to date. He looks really strong. The gutbuster finish certainly works, and it's fun reading about Brandon Cutler in the Young Bucks book as I continue to go through that. If you haven't checked out my chapter-by-chapter reviews and looks at the Young Bucks book, I suggest you do so. In any case, 3 check marks. Danny Limelight looks good here. Brandon Cutler looks very good. And I'm curious what they have for him in the future. Speaking of which, the guy he was feuding with, pretty Peter Avalon against John Cruz. By the way, we have a promo for the Young Bucks book between match 3 and 4. I like to point these kind of things out to see how they're using this time to promote other things. John Cruz, who I'm a huge fan of, does a really great job here with Peter Avalon. The Martinez finisher is ludicrous. Peter Avalon obviously going for heavy gimmick work here. It certainly works, and he's got the right guy in the ring with him, John Cruz. And I'm going to give this one 3 check marks, absolutely. Match number 5, Shana, who has not been around for a very long time in full Dragon Ball Z cosplay, against Tesha Price. Big fan of the Tesha Price. This match looks good. Shanna does show some signs of being a little stilted, a little clunky, but that's to be expected. But Tesha Price does a really good job of putting her over and putting herself over, really. Getting those good facial expressions. That tiger suplex with the bridge at the end looked absolutely stellar. Good stuff here. 3 check marks as Shanna goes over. Match number 6, but we get a little thing about basically Sean Spears saying Scorpio Sky is not going to get a rematch. So we got Scorpio Sky here on the steps. Alex Marvez is going to interview him, but he just walks off. Again, the kind of thing I think works well for Dark. I don't know if I want to see this kind of thing on Dynamite necessarily, but we're definitely putting over this idea that Sean Spears is not going to give Scorpio Sky a rematch, which means in wrestling logic that we can look forward to that rematch happening. It's just how we get there is the interesting part. And is it going to be on Dark? That's an interesting thought as well. Match number 6, Kylan King, huge fan, appears that she is signed, because now she's getting to win as well, and taking on Catalina Perez, who does a pretty good job here. In the past, I thought Catalina Perez at times looked kind of stilted and awkward with a couple of things, which comes when you're doing basically, wrestling. Those kind of things happen. I'm not busting her balls or ovaries about it. But here, I think she looks really great. Kylan King learning to accept this role very effectively as somebody who wins and dominates. And the Queen of Crazy, I'm not the craziest about that moniker, but she's definitely putting it over without making it cartoonish. And that thing where she picks them up kind of like an atomic drop, but then moves them all the way into a face drop, I think looks really impressive. It looks like a finisher. It's not like what other people are doing. And Kylan King wins, 3 check marks. Nice job. Match number 7, Adam Priest and Sean Maluda against the Best Friends. Really solid work here. Trent always does a great job, and I believe Chuck Taylor does as well. It's a very well put together match. It works. Adam Priest and Sean Maluda look good in defeat, but it's really the Best Friends here who are taking control of this match, making sure everything works and makes sense. That 2 pile drivers finisher happens, and they get the win. 3 check marks here. A little bit of the bubbly ad. The 2 things they're promoting en masse are the Young Bucks book and the bubbly, a little bit of the bubbly, which I find interesting. You would think that they would promote Winter is Coming, the big Dynamite show happening tonight, but then again, do they really need to? If you're watching Dark, I would strongly suspect you're already captured audience to watch Dynamite anyway, and they do promote Winter is Coming at the end of the show. Match number 8. Again, this is just further indication that they're making the best use of their time here on Dark as far as what they promote, what they emphasize. I think it's smart. I think it shows sort of the evolution of the show. Do we really need to hammer home pay-per-views and stuff like that to the audience that is clearly the intense one? To about 200,000 people end up looking at Dark, and safe to say that these are the AEW diehards, which is wonderful. Match number 8, Leva Bates, who is on a little bit of a roll herself as the last remaining librarian, against Alex Garcia. The match works. The silliness of giving Alex Garcia the Young Bucks book after she loses and then I'm hugging. I do feel like, and I've thought this even on the indie level, that Leva Bates is afraid to be taken more seriously, and so leans on the comedy as opposed to does the comedy, if that makes sense. The finish, where it's kind of like that Nelson roll thing, again, not doing yourself any favors. Give yourself something definitive that people can latch on to you and attach to you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with being seen as a viable contender for Hikaru Shida, at least for a small run. I think that would serve you much better than sort of lounging around. That's my opinion about Leva Bates, because I think she's really talented. I do think she has to step up her ring work, and I do think she needs a finisher that is definitive and strong. I don't think there's anything wrong with going with those wrestling tropes in order to help your own career, my opinion. So I'm going to give this one no stars, or no check marks. Not because it was a horrible match, but because I don't think it's really serving anything. And that's the whole point of AEW Dark, in my opinion. Match number 9, Angel Fashion, great name, VSK, Sean Donovan against the Gun Club. Standard stuff here. Billy Gunn is so good at directing traffic in these kind of matches, and they give the one son enough to do, but then they always let Austin get the finish with the quick draw. No surprises here. Pretty by the numbers. Good stuff. No big botches. Everything seems to be moving along well. If they are going to have a 6-man title, the Gun Club is certainly putting themselves in position to be one of the major players in that kind of thing, which is not a bad idea. We get another promo for the Young Bucks book. See what I'm saying? Match number 10, Aaron Solo against Matt Sydal. This one's surprisingly competitive. Matt Sydal has been prone to have these longer matches on AEW Dark. And then he even lets Aaron escape from his like kind of Cobra Clutch crossface finisher, and then hits him with the thing that he's been using lately, which is kind of like he hooks him for an angle slam, but then he twists them quickly into like a neck breaker looking move and gets the pin that way. Good match all around. Aaron Solo continues to do a good job, though he seems kind of nondescript to me. I would suggest he finds a way to stand out a little more. But beyond that, 3 check marks. Match number 11, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson against Fuego de Sol and Baron Black. See, Fuego de Sol's got a thing, right? If he hits you with this tornado DDT, that's your ass. Baron Black, in the weirdest moment on AEW Dark, is in the ring, in his corner, but in the ring, and then tags, and then just starts going, which makes the whole match look fucked up. Honestly, it makes the whole thing come apart. And even when they hit their finisher, which is this nice kind of thing where they, like, you know, leap and the guy falls down face first, it's whatever, because at that point I'm so taken out of the match. So I can't give this thing anything more than 2 check marks. It probably should get less. That fuck up is just so huge. I can't believe they didn't have them redo something, because it was so bad. And there were a couple other moments that I was like, during the show, that I'm a little shocked they're letting slide. But then again, they have a lot of television to fix. They're doing the shit usually at like 2 a.m. or whatever. So I get it. But, you know, when mistakes happen, they happen. I certainly highlight when the good stuff happens on AEW Dark. I have to talk about the stuff that didn't work as well. Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. are one of the things that are clearly working. They're going to get the win here against Cesar Bononi, big dude, and Ryzen. Ryzen, boy, he works his ass off, doesn't he? Working that gimmick, making things big, etc., etc., etc. He takes the finisher for Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman, which is Griff Garrison picking them up in a bear hug-like position, and then Brian Pillman Jr. hitting a blockbuster. I am shocked at the guys overall in AEW being unable to come up with finishers that aren't a variation of I pick you up and the other person flips and then drops you in something for tag teams, and cutter variations for single guys. But, that's what Dark is about, figuring stuff out, trying stuff out. I ain't mad. I'm giving this 3 check marks. Another little bit of the bubbly ad. See what I'm saying? Match number 13, match I was looking forward to. Lindsay Snow, who I think a lot of, and Ivelisse. I will say, though, that I don't think people are doing them favors by pretending that this match was great. And that's what I was reading online. Oh, great match, great match. It wasn't. There were a number of ugly spots, things that were missed. The roll-through kick finisher by Ivelisse looks fine, and Lindsay Snow did her level best, but there were some ugly spots. I thought that, dive on the outside where she tumbled, but she caught her in a weird spot, was weird, and at that point they're thrown off, and a lot of timing issues and things like that they try to cover with editing, but I could see that this match fell apart. I would give it 1 check. The second match as well, Bobby Wayward, George South Jr. against the Acclaim. Definitely sloppy stuff going on. That finisher looked pretty bad. The fact that they tried twice to do this sort of the float over DDT and botched it twice, and they continue to go back to it, that is classic 101. If it is not the finish, for fuck's sake, let the spot go. That is stuff that you got to learn early on. Young wrestlers listening to this, and that's the majority of people who listen to this, for fuck's sake, if you fuck up a spot, don't go back to it and try it again. There's nothing to be gained. If you hit it, it just emphasizes the fact that you fucked it up. But more likely than not, your chances of fucking it up a second time because you're panicked and rushed and determined to hit a spot instead of tell a story are greatly magnified, as we see here. Use it as a teachable moment. I'm going to give it no check marks. This match did not work. Though the trash talking is getting better. The sort of battle rap feel, the roasting rap feel coming to the ring is more defined and good. Match number 15, Chaos Project. So we got Serpentico working again in some way, shape, or form, and Luther against Alex Chamberlain and Seth Gargis. Lots of comedy stuff in this, but it all works, and the Chaos Project is just wacky team, fits perfectly on Dark. Their finishing move, the Creeping Death, yet another variation of I pick you up and the other person does something to you, but they hit it well, except I do worry for Serpentico's knees. My God, he came straight down on that Creeping Death, and I just go like, oof. But good match, 3 checks. Co-main event, it's listed. Lady Frost, who I think has been doing a great job against Red Velvet, who's now getting a bit of a push. Red Velvet hits that running boot to the head, which looks great. Lady Frost sells it better than anybody. This is maybe the best sort of competitive feeling looking match on the card. 3 check marks, great job. And then our main event, 5 and 10 of the Dark Order. So Alan Angels getting the Duke. And Vance getting a look here, and Jurassic Express, the 2 that are threatening anyway, in Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. There's some sort of clunky moments in this match, but generally it works. The Jurassic Express go over with this kind of flippy powerbomb thing. Their search for a team finisher continues. And they go over. It's a good match, but nothing gets advanced in this competitive match. We don't really learn anything else about the Jurassic Express. No angles seem to be formed. So I'll give it 2 check marks. So that winds up an incredibly long AEW Dark. They promote Winter is Coming, which looks to be really good. In any case, I'm going to get this out there. So this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus AEW Dark for December 1st, 2020.